Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Rise Up with Ivy and Calla.
Where spirituality meets practicality. And good morning, I'm Ivy.
And I'm Calla. How are you doing?
Well, I do want to apologize to everybody out there in listening land or viewing land. You can hear how wonderful I sound. I've been pretty knocked out for the last week. I mean, I can remember when we were recording, and then finally that next day I was done for. How are you feeling? Because I know you started to kind of go down that road too.
It's just in the head. I think we're just dealing with all this lovely pollen.
I do too.
That is being blessed in our area.
So if we sound a little weird, but I mean, I was shocked at just how much and how quickly it knocked us out. Yeah. But we were having such good conversations last week. I promise you all out there, it wasn't because of our talk of why we didn't record again. Though I will tell you, I watched it and I listened to it and I turned just as red again, and I didn't tell my husband it was on. But it was really helpful for me too, and I was part of the conversation.
And I think it needs to be talked about more.
We got a few messages last week or from the week, and it was like, thank you so much for making it be relaxing and not such a difficult conversation. Right. And we were laughing. Yes, I had my embarrassment, but genuinely, the one thing I loved about the conversation is, for me, it was a lot of fun, even though it was a little uncomfortable. It was me talking to one of my girlfriends, right? Which I was doing along with all of y'all, but we had fun with it, and I think that's, for me anyways, especially when you're married, and have been married for a while, and sex becomes more of a serious thing. You lose that. I'm not saying that sex is boring by any means, but that spontaneity.
It becomes routine.
It does. And even changing up, I have a house full of boys. I'm very quiet. Why? I can't walk around cutesy wise that I would like to from my husband. Well, I have a 21-year-old and two 17-year-old boys walking in the house. That's just not going to happen. So you kind of lose that fun piece of you if you're not careful. And I think part of my issue, and I came to the realization last week, is that I do need to get out of that box. And one of the things that Sai and I do kind of every now and again, which I think we need to do more often, is get a hotel room.
I do that just for myself. Just going and getting a hotel just to get away from the label of being a mom.
Yeah. And routine for me. I mean, because when we go away on vacation, there's no kids around. I'm not worrying. And this is for anyone with kids at any age or has somebody else living in their home. When you have babies, you're constantly 1 year is here. And then as they get older, when you're like, okay, finally, well, no, you don't want to walk around the house that way. And it's just trying to, I want to say, recapture in a way.
Yeah.
That essence of femininity and balance that with maternal obligations.
This is my favorite outfit is sweatpants and a t-shirt. That's
I get you. Like, this whole week being sick, I was in leggings, a tank top, and oversized sweater. Mm-hmm. I was bulked up. I looked like I was ready for the winter time, like 5 feet of snow. But I didn't have to wear a bra. And nobody could tell. And I do worry about that in the house, and trying to be comfortable, but it doesn't make me feel good.
Right.
I kind of fall into that feeling yucky.
So we as women, you don't want to dress up for him. You want to dress up just for you, just to, like today, I'm wearing pink. If you haven't noticed.
She is cute AF.
I picked out an outfit that I would not normally wear, and it came in a totally different color than what I
really.
Yes, this is not what I ordered.
What did you order?
I ordered more darker
Oh, I think that's fabulous.
It was darker, but when I put it on, I said, okay, I can deal with this.
It's very cute on you.
So yeah, and so I made a commitment to myself to, when each paycheck, get something for myself, something that makes me feel good.
And I think that's a fabulous idea, because if we look good, to ourselves,
Right.
we feel good.
Yes.
For me, I've recognized putting on makeup. I if I don't feel good or I'm exhausted, the last thing I do is this, putting on makeup. And even this morning, I was like, oh, we're recording. Okay. I felt terrible. I put on makeup and I felt myself pop up again. I'm not saying I feel great by any means, but it did help the cycle.
Right. Yeah. For me, I'm just too lazy. I don't like makeup. But it's just
see, but my eyes get lost with all this light. You got beautiful skin. You don't need makeup. But I do think there are so many things we as women really have to do it for ourselves. And it doesn't mean put on makeup or buy something every paycheck, but it's finding out what is good for you.
Yeah, what makes you happy? What makes you click?
Yesterday, I had a session with somebody, and I was talking to her, and I said, you need to take a hot bath. She said, I hate the bathtub. She said, I'll shower, but I hate a bath. She said, but we'll come into the beach, be better. That's my space. There you go, as long as you do it.
Yeah.
You have to find what really works for you to make you click.
Yes.
So we're going to continue talking on this conversation because I know this was a really important one for you. More so than me, because you're very much about wellness and sexual connections and things of that nature. And we were talking about energetic connections, you and I off screen. And you were like, we really need to talk about that. Like when we're connecting with somebody and the energy transfers and things of that nature.
Right now, me, Touch, and Ivy, we are connected. Okay. Can you imagine if we are more intimate?
There we go again, Amber. We are off, folks.
That energy connection with sex is there. Our womb space, we hold that energy.
But what happens if you don't have all the womb areas, all the uterus and things like that?
You have a space down there. That's why I use the word womb space.
Okay.
That womb space there holds all that energetic from any partner that you are with.
Okay, so that that's a lot.
And think about, who are they with?
Good luck, y'all. That's all I have to say. Good luck.
So it is important to cleanse that womb space energetically, physically, and energetically. And your body is going to let you know if you are not a good connection with that person, because your body's going to rebel. That's why we have all these different types of infections. The main one that we don't talk about enough, because it's not highlighted, because it normally stays dormant in men and in women, is HPV. That is hardly ever spoken of. We had a couple of years ago, there was a big kick on social media and on TV, getting your kids boosted with Gardasil. Oh, am I allowed to say it? I don't know, but whatever.
From that product,
getting vaccinated because of what can happen in the future.
So I used to work with the American Cancer Society, and when that released was when I was there, and there was such controversy over whether you let a child get that type of vaccine. But one of the biggest pieces of it is once they have one sexual partner, the potential for HPV rose like incessantly.
Right.
And it was almost not necessary at that point to get that vaccine, because you already had done too much. And this is not an anti-vax. This is not a pro-vax conversation. But it is amazing at HPV how much it is there, because we don't know a lot about it. we know when, as women, we go to get our pap smears, they're testing us for something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you have HPV. Oh, and it's just okay. You don't know until, because as I said, for most people, it stays dormant. There is no signs of it until it's too late.
So would you say, so that also comes with energetic connection though,
Yes.
too, as much as physical connection?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you, as a woman, we have these different triggers in our head. We have that turns us on. And if it's not there, you don't have to continue on. Now, mind you, I'm speaking from somebody who is 100% single, by the way.
Anyone like a date with Calla?
No, but if that click isn't there, then why continue putting yourself through it?
So I feel, so here's my question on that though. Sometimes we may not click with our partner, but it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the traumas that we've been through or things we're experiencing. How do you determine, is that an energetic misconnection or is it my own issues that I have? Because, or does it really not matter?
How is it outside of the bedroom?
Oh, I don't know. This isn't me.
No,
I'm just throwing it. Okay.
That's my question. How is it? How is everything? Is it your imagination? Are you imagining a relationship with this person, or is it actually playing out? So, are you wanting? Are you imagining how great you could be if this, or how great this is going to be when this, or if. You know what I'm trying to say?
So you're in what you're saying is like, when you're tight is tight. And when you're outside of that, your relationship is strong, but there's only this misstep, we'll call it a misstep, that is happening. Then that might have more to do with you internally and the way your body is working right now.
Yes. Because I know I'm picky. There are certain things that I like, and for lack of a better word, I'm going to have to instruct somebody. It's not you're not going to get it on the first try.
So many things to say.
But again, that's because I know me and I know what I like.
And you're confident about that.
Yes.
Because again, and I think we had this conversation, not every man is going to be receptive to hearing, depending on what when we talk energetic connection, y'all, this is a whole lot of everything. You're talking, thinking about, it's not just like we're worrying about what I'm feeling. And even though we're number one, okay, and we have to be the one we think of first, you're also thinking about what they're feeling, and their response has to do with their experiences up until that moment, whether it be people they've connected with sexually or in past relationships or the way of growing up that makes them receive things in a certain way. It's a pretty interesting thing, but if you think about it, now I'm not sure what you're going to say, and I'm not truly old-fashioned in this sense, not like, but when we would hear don't have sex until you get married. Is it really till you get married or until you truly know somebody to know the energetic connection? Because let's be honest, in those first 6 months to a year, hey, how are you? I'm Ivy. I am perfect. I'm good. Oh, you want me to do your laundry? I'm on it. Oh, you need me to do this? I'm on it. Then after that facade starts to kind of fall away, that first 6 months to a year, everybody is on amazing behavior.
Right.
One, because you're in lust or enamored or whatever word you want to use. So you're so excited you don't see any faults. And you don't show any faults. Or, you know what I mean? It's you don't really get a chance to really see what somebody is like.
With that mask not as prominent.
So it's not about, staying celibate or, I'm not here to promote to promote abstinence or not promote abstinence. That's really each person can make their own decision. But if you think about it, we were all told to wait. And that is a good reason to wait. I mean, I don't know if I'd wait a year. I don't know if I would wait, you know what I mean, 6 months if I were in the dating thing. But otherwise, you don't know whose energy you're connected with.
Yeah. And energy, and it's, think about being with somebody who has that mask on, who is an abuser, but they have that mask on. And so you don't know. And then you are with them intimately. That energy is now in you.
Does that mean I'm going to be an abuser? Hypothetically speaking, if I'm that person that's being intimate with an abuser, do I become an abuser?
No, but you become angry. That emotion that's behind that abuse, there's always some type of an emotion that's behind abuse. So angry or sadness, whatever that is what is now you're connecting with.
Interesting. And now let's think about people who both of us were children of abuse, and think about that at that age when we don't understand cutting cords and getting rid of that energetic, and then to grow up with it.
Right.
That's where I think you're at risk if you don't start to work through that.
Yes.
To becoming a very similar person, maybe not in the abuse side of it, but like you said, in the anger. I can remember going to a counselor one time, and I never went back to her because she said to me, "Oh, you had been abused." Well, let me tell you, the chances of you not abusing, not turning lesbian, or not being sexually promiscuous is very slim to none. And I took that that's what I took hard for years. I'm like, okay. And I can remember I had boys. Okay. For the longest time, I would make sure that somebody is around because I didn't want to become that person. I had that so stuck in my head that I would become that person, that thought process was constantly there. And I was in danger of losing myself, not maybe to the point of that, but still, I think those are some of the issues when we talk about sexuality that come up, and when we talk about abuse and stuff. How do you get rid of that? What would you?
Well, that was going to be the question. You're all about cutting cords. That's what I was going to ask you. How do we go about? Okay, yes, I've had these relations, and yes, I need to cut these ties, and it may not even be sexual. It may be this connection right here.
I cut cords with my family. I cut cords with my family weekly. And I can remember a time going in my mind to who I had been intimate with and cutting cords then. So I guess to explain what cords are for people who don't know, there's an etheric, whenever we are connected with somebody, or just eye contact, there's an etheric cord that goes from our solar plexus to our solar plexus. That's how, if I'm doing a session, how I am connecting. You're doing Reiki, how you're connecting. Well, now add to the heart. Okay, so there's a heart piece. You also have an etheric cord there. That's for your children. I love you as my friend and my sister. That's that heart piece. But now let's add a third cord for sexual, from our sacral area to sacral area, kind of where we connect. Right. And so the way I cut cords is I had to find, I really enjoy working with the archangels. That became something that's really important to me. And so I don't necessarily cut them myself, but I'll take a hot bath. I'll do salt water. I'll have some crystals in there and a candle. And I'll typically ask St. Michael to lovingly cut, remove, and dissolve any and all cords that are binding me and this person together. And I lovingly send them their energy. And I lovingly welcome mine and replace it with love.
And that is very similar to because I've learned from you about cutting ties and cutting cords. I don't know if it was you who told me that the reason why you asked Divine is because you don't want ego.
I don't want my energy. I don't
Okay.
say ego,
Okay.
but think about it. If I'm doing protection work, and I had to learn this from one of my mentors, I am trying to do all this protection work, or I'm trying to do all this cord cutting myself. I'm exhausted. So that's where that comes in. But I do love the idea of asking St. Michael to cut them because of ego. Because regardless, when you are cutting cords, it doesn't mean cutting ties. If I'm cutting cords with you, that does not mean you are going to leave my life. You are going to be there if you're meant to be. What that means is that I'm not carrying your crap and you're not carrying mine. Down to the nitty gritty on that. I can remember the first time I cut cords with my dad. And you remember this because we were at the old shop. Excuse me. And he had his AFib. And I had been in the hospital with him and yada, yada, yada. A few days later, I was at the shop. I'm agitated as hell. And I don't know what is wrong, but I was getting mad. And then all of a sudden, my dad called, and he is agitated as hell. And he was mad. And I was like, oh, I need to cut cords. And I remember asking St. Michael to cut them. And my fear base was, what if I'm wrong? What if this is going to cut my dad out of my life? It didn't, but it was still really hard. Like I could feel the stalk.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so now I still I still cut cords weekly. So I'm still there for them. I can still feel their stuff. But how can I transmute something that does not belong to me? You can't. So I make sure to cleanse that. Even on here, I don't even know if you know this. Every day we record. Do I cut cords with you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. But I cut cords with everybody out there. Because even though I can't see them, they can see us. And y'all don't want my junk. No offense, I don't want yours. But it's a way. And now let's take that intimate. Now let's go up a level. Okay, so we went from parent to child. And we're going friend-wise. But when you're going intimate, that is a much more physically deeper, connection. So it's almost like this is so bad. This is so bad. I didn't mean to touch your boob. But it really, you're re-pulling out again. You're dissolving this time. It's imagine that. It has to be dissolved.
Yes. Yeah. I love the salt baths. Getting that all out. Yoni steaming. I'm a proponent of yoni steaming.
I was going to ask you about that. That was my first thing was you need a yoni steam.
Not everybody has access to it, but what I would like to just briefly explain yoni steaming. Yoni steaming is for physical and energetic aches, issues, and you may not even have it. It's also for mental.
And it's amazing. I'm going to tell you. I ate crow on this one. When she told me she was doing this, I was like, you have lost your mind. But it works. And it works amazing.
So you are basically, you as a client will tell me what you will fill out an intake form. From that intake form, I will then put together a variety of different herbs. They're organic herbs. And you're going to be sitting over this steam pot of herbs. It helps energetically. It could help with physical issues. And it's a time for me, I do it weekly just to defrag. It's my way of just debriefing, getting back in tune with my womb space.
I need to do it again. But I will say, and now this is for any age, right?
Yes,
you don't
absolutely.
have to be menstruating yet,
Nope.
a teenager.
Nope.
And I will tell you, for me, it's been an amazing alternative to typical prescribed hormones.
Yes.
And it's worked well when I've done it. I just have to do them more often. But it really is a big help in that aspect. And the one thing I love about your sessions when you do that, you're also doing a meditation. You're not in the room, but you have a pre-recorded meditation that is really focusing on love in that space.
We don't take the time as women. Now, I'm sure there's men listening to us, but we're both women, and so that's why I'm talking to as a woman. We don't take the time to focus on our womb space. We focus on it when we're on our cycle, when we're giving birth, or when there is something wrong.
Or when it's no longer there.
And well, do you really even feel
Yes.
Okay.
I get it's almost like a depression thing.
Okay.
I had to literally get to a place where I did a ceremony or ritual to say it's okay for me to step into this space, because once it was gone, I was like, where'd it go?
And that's why I use the word womb space instead of just womb, because a lot of people feel like once the organ is taken out, there's no purpose for that area.
And
that is 100%.
I still have mine, but what I'm talking about is even post-menopause.
Right.
When it's not, you're no longer getting your period. I don't think you realize the importance and the magical beauty of menses until it's gone. I mean, now I wouldn't want to go through 7 days.
I know. I'm waiting.
And I'm going to say I don't think any of us want that, or the cramping and whatever, but the actual change up in the cyclical and the shedding. Again though, I didn't step fully into the magical realm until I was in Paris. So I was already on my way that way, not realizing the strength and the beauty in it.
And we used to, as human beings, we used to celebrate that time. We used to honor the woman when they start transitioning. And it just doesn't happen, especially here in the States. It doesn't happen like that.
I know there was a community, and I know we're going over time, but do you want to just keep going since this is a good conversation?
Absolutely.
I think we should too. So I know that there is, I saw recently locally, somebody was celebrating their daughters coming in, and I was like, I don't know about that. And then I was like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
If you look at, the priestesses, Avalon, things of that nature, that was such a big magical piece in it, was celebratory of becoming a woman. To me, again, we talked about this before, I grew up in a place that we didn't talk about this stuff. So it wasn't celebratory. Right. It was embarrassment. And then, oh my gosh, if you bled through your pants or something, it was shameful and embarrassing.
Right.
And that has, I don't knock my mom for that, because she went through that kind of stuff as well. But it was just the way. I mean, how is it with, well, you have a house full of girls except for one boy.
Right. And unfortunately, I didn't know until it was too late.
Right.
I knew I didn't want them to have the same experience that I had when I first started my cycle. I was shamed because I didn't tell the appropriate people. I tried to hide it because I was in school. And, and it was like I didn't know what steps to take. I used a sock.
Hey!
But when it comes to my girls, we've had the talk, and I prepared them. They had little pouches that they carried with them, so they wouldn't have that same experience. I would like to have taken it the next step. I knew a woman who I believe she's from some country over in Asia, and when her daughter was blooming, they had this big ceremony, and I thought it was just so weird.
Right? Yes. And I kind of laughed when you just called it blooming. I was like, I agree.
When she told me, and when I saw the pictures, it was such a beautiful ceremony. And that's when I started to understand why we should be celebrating that. And I had, as I said, I had missed the boat with my girls, but it's live and learn.
But that's where we start to do stuff like this. I'm going to tell you, my biggest thing was going through menopause, and you hear people saying doing blood work, magic, and things of that nature, or how for protection and things like that. But it was really about embracing that side. And the old saying, don't know what you got until it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely fit that for me.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, you'll be like, whoa, what happened? And it wasn't that, oh, I've now hit an old age. It was almost like mourning. So I had to shake off the mourning and find a way to celebrate. And that was what my own private ritual was about.
So you're grieving your cycle.
I was, as many times as I would say, I wish this thing would go away.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, wait a minute. There's a lot when you wish your period to go away. There are a lot of signs, symptoms that come in. It's not like, how we say the grass is greener on the other side. It's not always greener. But on the other side of it, it was a time for me to learn to embrace the wisdom.
Mm. Yeah.
So, as much as we're saying that there's negative to not, but I want everybody to realize there's such beauty and positive here as well.
So let's, I know we went not on a tangent, but
yeah, we did actually go on a tangent. But that's what I love about this too.
So okay, hold on, because I have Miss Debbie here. I got it. Miss Debbie says, I raised 6 daughters and always told them how special they were to become a woman. Never shamed them. And now when I talk to granddaughters after educating myself, I tell them how powerful they are. Yes.
Absolutely. I think when we go to a point of getting into that age of period, we just don't realize that power. I mean, let's be honest. What's the whole purpose of a period?
Oh, you're asking.
I'm asking.
Okay. To really, we have that egg there, and
right.
That is releasing
the power. We have the power to carry another
yes.
human being, a human life. Not everybody can do that. So women, that area is so sacred.
Yes, definitely. And we need to honor it more. We need to celebrate it more. We need to take the time to just be with our womb space.
It's pretty interesting because if you look, a lot of women who start to become in tune with the moon, they'll find during the full moon, they'll actually have their cycle.
Right.
They think it's time for release. I will tell you this. I actually thought there was something wrong. And just so you know, there was nothing wrong. But what was it in December during, I want to say, the full moon right there? All of a sudden, I got a period again. I was like, what's wrong? We went to the doctors. Everything is fine. There was nothing wrong. But to me, it was such a powerful time. We were right at Yule. We were right at with the moon phase. Everything was there. And I'm like, and solstice, I was like, well, thank you, Divine, for giving me this.
Now take it back.
No, I didn't. I was like, woohoo, all right. I just want to make sure I'm safe and nothing's wrong with me. But it was such a cool experience. But women really can be in tune. Their cycle can be in tune with the moon.
Right. And your cycle, God, your cycle should not be painful. Take the time. Don't accept, and I said this last time, don't accept the doctors who said, that's just your body, deal with it. I had a daughter who she was in pain during her cycles. And the doctor, that's just, we're going to go ahead and put her on birth control hormones. And that's all that we can do. And that's when I started looking for more holistic ways to help her. And that's when I was introduced to yoni steaming, to help, because you should not be in pain.
It's interesting. I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm completely off subject, but you got into energy healing because of one of your daughters, and into yoni steaming
because of a different daughter.
Yeah,
my if it wasn't for my daughters, I would not be on the path that I am right now. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, let's see what my son brings.
Patience, tolerance. That's what I say. I'm just picking. But, okay, so even though we talked about this in the beginning of this and we kind of digressed, but I think this kind of leads. So we go into this. So what would you tell those who have teenage granddaughters, daughters, nieces, godchildren, whatever, about connecting, because there's sex has become such a thing. It's just a thing.
But with that being said, I know a group of, I think sex has become less mainstream than what our generation thinks it is.
Really?
I believe that, I've heard young people talk, and it's not what they want, because it comes with infection. It comes with that connection to
another human being.
Yes, and they don't want that. They are more awakened than what we were.
I can see that, because as you're talking, I'm thinking back to conversations. So one of my sons, he's like, Mom, why can't I spend the night at my friend's house that's a girl? I'm like, we don't do that. Right? But he's like, you don't understand. And he said, we're not like that. And I'm like, look, you are until you're or you're not like that until you are. I mean, there's no going back once you do. But even with things so off subject, but driving a car, you don't see as many teens. And I experienced it with all of ours. There's only one that really wanted to drive out of the four. And when I asked the guidance counselor about it, they said they live in a virtual world. My boys would rather talk on that virtually than be in a car on a date with a girl, or a guy, or whatever. But I do kind of agree with you on that. Our generation kind of pushed Gen X. We pushed everything. We pushed the limits on music. When I look at the music or watch TV, listen to the music that we listen to, we really made sex a very promiscuous thing instead of as much of a sensual and love thing. Do you agree with that?
I 100% agree. Yeah. But to get back to your original question, so moving forward, let them know how powerful their bodies is. Don't just talk about the physical repercussions of having sex or being intimate with somebody, but talk about that emotional connection.
We even talked with our boys, and I can remember how, one of our boys, when they were younger, had a hickey on their neck. And I spotted that thing like instantly.
It was a vacuum.
Whatever. But anyways, my concern wasn't that he had a hickey on his neck. My concern was what the emotional repercussions would be for the girl who put it there. Because guys can walk around, be like, yeah, my old lady did this. But then the energetic feel, she's easy, she's this, she's that. And then the girls, she, you know what I mean? There's an negative, energetic, what's the word I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say, right?
I don't know the word.
But there's that, the way it looks to her.
Right.
Or the way her reputation becomes tarnished because of the thought process and the energy that goes into that.
Right.
So that's how we handled things with the boys, was like, no, we don't do this. If you, but they're like, but we love each other. Well, then if you love each other, you don't need to wear a patch on your neck to prove that you love each other. It's about, because again, then think about that. If that female starts to get made fun of, picked on, feeling like that, then that sexual energy changes for her.
Yes.
Even if they weren't sexually intimate.
Miss Debbie says, historically, it was male patriarchy that changed the outlook of menses because they knew or misunderstood the power we held.
Well, didn't they change a whole lot of stuff? That's like, when we absolutely 100%, Debbie, couldn't agree with you more on that. As we, you really look at that time, everything when paganism, which was the belief, started to be forced to be transitioned to Christianity. Women were the priestesses. Mm-hmm. The men were the hunter-gatherers. The women were the spiritual teachers. Same concept. There was so much emphasis on the woman. And then they would say, then it changed over to the patriarchal side of things. And it was, my husband will even joke, and he completely jokes, and he said, you should shoot anything that bleeds for 7 days. You know what I mean? It's a ha-ha funny, and it becomes that kind of bleeding became a negative thought. But it was made to.
Right.
Where women were not as important or not special. There was more of they were not good because of it.
Yeah. That beloved man.
But it's hard to understand. I will tell you, Sai's amazing when it comes to girl stuff. When he would be the first one to go to the store, get me whatever I needed, make sure I was good. And he was like, look, in December when I went through this, he was like, I don't know if you need chocolate, tea, here's a heating pad, ibuprofen here, babe, I don't know what you need. He was an exception to the rule for me. He's always been amazing. But I think we don't realize, because there is so much shame attached to it, or embarrassment. I think it's a tough thing.
Do you, or have you, I'm going to say have you because they're older now, have you taken the time to talk to your boys?
I'm going to let you do that. Wait, when we're talking about what?
No.
About a woman's period?
Yes.
No, I'm going to bring you into the house and we'll have that conversation together. And I know this is what they're going to do. Because I'm sure one is upstairs because he's not in school, and is like, I am not going out there right now. I don't really know how to have that conversation. You're going to have to come over because I can just see Sai sitting here in this conversation like this. But the conversations we have had is about respect. My biggest thing is I want my children, my sons, to respect their partner. Not to be like, hey, guess what, buddy? I just tagged that. But to respect and actually love their partner.
Right.
I will say I have amazing boys who I will say, for being a single mom, I think they've experienced some things with me in the fact of they've learned kind of what to look for. And I will say Sai has been amazing when it comes to showing certain aspects of making sure your woman is taken care of when I'm not feeling good and things of that nature. But to actually say we've had a conversation about a woman's period, no, that's 6th grade. I signed a paper. They did in school. I think 8th grade too. Have you talked to Carter?
I have.
Shoot. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to mention your name. I am so sorry. Just don't listen. I've been doing really well at not mentioning names. You have?
We've had discussion.
Did he do this?
Yeah, well, Mom, we don't really need to talk about this. No, we do, because he's the youngest of 3 girls. And so he's seen things. He's experienced things, and he needs to know.
My kids, one of my sons found tampons and used it as a, that's about what we got. I've been fortunate, but now you just made me think of a whole different thing. All right, so this will be a good conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. You're coming for it.
Okay.
All right, so fast forward back to what we originally talked about, which I think we need to finish on this, is when we finally decide it's time to be connected with somebody. What are you looking for? I mean, let's be honest. Okay, Calla, what are you looking for? Are you just looking for a good time for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or two?
I was about to say, I'm not looking for no 5 minutes. I can do that on my own.
But how do you decide? All right, so because I'm not single, but how do you make that determination of, I just want to feel good for the time?
Right. And, and I have struggled with that over the past couple of months because, God, I've said this to you before. I just want to be helped. Right. But the spiritual guru that I am knows good and well that comes with repercussions.
Energy connection.
But I know how to cleanse myself, so I'm saying.
But wait a minute, though. But that doesn't. This is where a spiritual guru is gonna say, "Wait a minute, though. That's like telling our kids, well, okay, now you can go get a pill and take care of things."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to be careful,
right?
But then, and again, maybe that connection you're making with somebody is right. I don't know.
Needless to say, I haven't found that connection yet.
But it's a hard place to be. Yeah. I can only imagine, especially because I know on a daily basis, I am analyzing things. Mm-hmm. Is this a spiritual way of telling me this, or am I supposed to go over the obstacle? So I can only imagine what that's like when you're looking at intimacy and partners, because especially when you're focusing on wellness and all of this, that the energetic connection is strong, but so are primal needs.
Right. And my love connection is physical touch. That's what my love connection is. My love language.
I think mine, wasn't it like emotional?
I think yours, yeah.
Yeah, mine's emotional. Like, you got to get in my head. But
so it's definitely tough to find that right person.
But you're that fire too, that fire sign, which is very much, you need that touch. Yeah. So that's an interesting place. So what would you tell your girls? Do as I say, not as I do. No, I'm just teasing. No. I'm just picking. I love these conversations. I'm having fun with them.
One of them, I had to bite my tongue and not say, "I told you so," but just make sure you respect the person. You never know what's going to happen. One, physically protect yourself. Protect yourself from infection. Protect yourself from babies. Please.
That's like, I had babies young, and I'm looking, I had a baby before I was my oldest son's age.
Yeah.
Or before I was my son who's up in the bedroom's age. Yeah. I'm like, don't do it. Wait.
My goal raising them was, okay, no babies before 18. No babies before 18. That was
I'm saying no babies before 27.
Well, because that was my experience, was no babies before 18. And when that happened, with no babies, okay, I thought my job was done. Yeah, that did it.
I don't know where all of our things are going.
Oh, there we
go. It keeps going up and back. I bet you it's this remote here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see that too.
Yeah.
No, trying not to, because I can't imagine. I look at my kids and I was like, I had a baby at your age. I was an idiot. No, you know what I mean? Like, if I was half like you, I was completely not prepared. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point of, we know what to look for connections. We've talked about how to cleanse and cut cords. But what happens when you don't want to? As well as I do, we've had clients that are still holding on to something. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very cautious of what I say. I have a family member who lost her husband 2003-ish. Still single. Will not date. Said she would only be with one person. And that's it. She has chosen, she will not cut cords. In fact, still has the voice recording on voicemail, carries around, records that. It's sad to me. And she has no desire. So how do you help somebody to move forward when they're not? Because, okay, we have people who have gone through divorces or have lost their partner. Maybe the partner has passed away, something like that. And they're just trying to hold on. Is that a way to hold on?
I don't think that's a way to hold on. That's sad. As you said, you use the word that's sad. Because there is so much more life that she could be living. But she's holding herself back. I don't know. That's at that point I would call in my friend Ivy.
Remember, I'm a family member, so friend Ivy doesn't help.
Energetically, let's do some energy work. Let's do some Reiki. Try and get that energy flowing again.
Though I will say, and I used this yesterday in my session with someone, and there's a song by the Goo Goo Dolls called Iris, and there is lyrics on there, and the line is, you bleed just to know you're alive. And I can feel that. Sometimes people hold on to that pain because they need to remember that it was there. Remember that person existed. What I feel truly is that when we cut cords, we're releasing them from that attachment so they can be around us all the time. Does that make sense? That love side of it. But when we're holding it, it goes back to what you were talking about, ego. It's, I can't be without this person, so I'm holding on to that energy. But what it's doing is destroying me in the process.
Right. Yeah. That heart connection, the sacral connection, it's just, yeah.
I look at when we talk energy healing and Reiki and chakras, the heart, solar, and sacral, those are all connected. And to me, that's like when we talk about our core, our body core, that is our Reiki core to me. Whether it is or not to the rest of the world, to me, if I can keep those in alignment, the rest of it will stay. But when one of those is off is when I'm finding the rest of mine are off. Would you agree?
It resonates with you. So that's what's important.
Well, so this week, the rest of the week, we're going to just kind of go through, because next week's our last week of this season. We're on our 8th week.
Okay, I've lost track.
And I think we're taking the month of March off and resuming back in April. Is that correct?
Oh, if that's
we'll be telling you all that, but then we'll be coming up with season 2.
Yes.
So I think the next couple of days, because since we did an hour today, I think we're only going to have 3 this week, don't you? I think the next 2 days that we do this, we're really going to recap some of our fun conversations. So want you on here, what are some things you want us to either talk about again, go deeper? I want to hear what your favorite conversations were, what favorite moments you had.
I can tell you right now.
Nope.
Okay. I will tell you right now. Okay.
You gotta wait. And then next week, our final week for this season 1, we're going to end on manifestation. And that's when I breathe.
I need help with that.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
And I think, let's see, we just experienced the new moon. So isn't the full moon
coming up?
Yeah.
It'll be on its way. And I haven't even told you, we'll have to talk about this. I may have a phone call in or a special guest if we could decide that it'll work.
Okay.
But to call in, especially at least so we can know what the heck we're talking about. Because I will tell you, manifestation for me is difficult. It is. I can manifest the things that I don't want.
Yeah, me and my girls, we were talking about that the other day because I had asked her a question. She's looking for a job, and I says, "Well, did you follow up? Did you call XYZ?" And she says, "No." I said, "Well, you need to go ahead tomorrow. Go ahead, take the initiative, and call XYZ." And she says, "Okay." And not even 15 minutes later, she called and she said they called. They called her.
Good for
and
her.
She got the job.
Good
and it's
for
like,
her.
okay, now we need to talk about the lottery.
Right. And so I can't wait to get into it because I know it's really easy to manifest what we don't want or manifest things
The
minor.
random things. The random things that we're not even trying to manifest. For me, the stuff that I want, need, desire is the stuff that I have trouble in.
Because you always know that in the back of your mind. So how do we get out of that? So that's going to be our next week conversation. But for the next couple of days, we're going to just talk about some highlights over the season.
So Miss Debbie says she's going to miss us in the month of March. Miss Debbie, what I want you to do is share our previous podcasts, share our shows, get a refresher, listen to one of us. We everything is online, so definitely share, listen to back episodes.
I've caught myself listening to them at night, even like if I'm doing artwork or something, just kind of listening again.
Do you find it easier now listening to your voice? I know we both have the same issues of not going back. At one point, we weren't listening to ourselves.
My problem wasn't listening. My problem was watching.
My problem is hearing my voice.
Oh, you got a beautiful voice.
Hearing my voice, like when we did the gathering with Old Magic Ways, I would never go back to listen to it because I didn't.
So when I do it and listen, I'm listening to my friends talk.
Uh-huh.
That's how I am. And I don't like to watch it. I do watch a few of them, but I'm like, oh, look at that. And I pick myself apart. So until I can watch it without picking myself apart, I'm going to continue just listening. But I find myself at night listening to them and randomly picking. And it's amazing at how I'm like, aha, because even hearing our discussion starts my brain working and elevating onto my journey more.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us on Rise Up with Ivy and Calla.
And next season, when we do have a sexual conversation, because this is going to be normal, it's going to be even better. I'm going to be more comfortable. I can say vagina now.
Yeah, well, see, and that was, now that you said it, that was my favorite part of this whole episode, is that you're able to say vagina and not turn bright red.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm just a little pink right now. You can see the red. So, one day at a time, I'm growing up. On that note, many blessings.
Thank you for joining Rise Up with Ivy and Calla.
Where spirituality meets practicality.
Bye-bye.